Hello again, everyone. This is still Sarah, and welcome to my third screencast on how to use Etoys. So in my first screencast, I talked about the supply box and starting to make our own project using the sketch tool. In my second screencast, I finished up using the sketch tool, explained the importance of drawing in layers, and I also discussed halos. And in this video, I'm going to talk all about the viewer, and I'm also going to try to get some scripts involved too. So as you can see, I've done some more cleanup from my last video to get rid of some old pictures that I've made. And the first thing I'm actually going to address is how to save a project. So in my very first video, I showed you all the back button and the forward button, so which basically happens if you're working on multiple projects at the same time. So if I were to push the back button, it's actually going to take me back to my home screen, since this is the only project that I've actually been working on this whole time. And up here in this corner, you can see that there's a small tile that says Sarah's project right on it, and if I click on it, it takes me right back to my project. So in all this time that I've been making these screencasts, I haven't actually ever closed out of Etoys and reopened it. But in the case that I ever wanted to do that, using the back arrow wouldn't actually work. I need to fully save the project instead of just naming it. So if I go up here to this little tile, it's saving a project, and it already has a name since I named it up here, and I'm going to hit OK. And it's going to ask me where I want to save this project, so I can either save it on my Squeakland, which is the online version, or I can save it just to my Etoys folder. So I'm actually just going to save it to my Etoys folder so that I don't have to have any internet access if I want to open up this project again. So I'm going to hit save. It's going to store the project, and there you go. Now the project has been saved, and I can open it again if I were to close out of Etoys. So that's just a little tidbit of information that you might need to know. So like I said last time, we talked a lot about halos. So if I right click on my flower, we talked about the duplicate halo, this one's the grabbing, the deleting, the menu right here in the middle, collapsing, the viewer, making a tile, rotating the object. This makes it bigger or smaller, and this redraws it. Today we're going to be focusing a lot on the viewer. So if we click the viewer tile, or the viewer halo, we're going to get this big, huge menu. And the viewer basically opens up a whole new world when it comes to moving our object around and programming our object to do different things that we want it to be doing, which is basically the whole point of why we've been exploring the sketch tool and the supply box, so that we can actually do things with our objects instead of just having stationary objects that don't really do anything at all. So the first thing that we're going to focus on this top category here, which is our basic category, which makes our object do very basic things. So if we click this little exclamation point here, that's called a command, which is basically, you can think of it as someone commanding you to do something. So if I were to click that command, it would tell the flower to make a little sound, croak. So if I click that, it makes a croak sound right there. You can also change it to a variety of different sounds by using these arrows. And as you can see, by clicking the little exclamation point command here, it only does the command once. So if I tell the flower to move forward by 5, if I click it, it only moves forward very little. So we'd have to click it multiple times in order to get it to actually move. So as you can see here, you can also have a turn by 5. We can make these numbers bigger or smaller just by clicking on them, like we did with the text tool. So say I want it to be 30, and I want it to turn by 10. These are very arbitrary numbers. You can do whatever you want. So we can make it turn by 10 whenever we click on it. We can make it move forward by 30. So this is a really interesting thing, because the computer thinks that forward is this way, is moving to the left, but I don't really think forward is moving to the left. So if I want to change what the computer's definition of forward is, I'm going to right click on my object right here, and if you see this little tiny red arrow that comes up in the center, it's pointing to the left. So basically that's controlling the forward direction of this object. So I don't really want forward to be moving to the left. I want forward to be moving up. So I'm actually going to take my cursor, if it'll if it'll let me, right here, I'm going to hold down the shift key and drag my arrow. There we go. So now it's facing up. Now when I tell it to move forward, it's going up, which is what my definition of forward is in this case. We can move it around. Back here, we're pushing different buttons. You can also drag the object back here to start over. So as you can see, this is a pretty tedious task. If I want my flower, for whatever reason, to just keep moving in circles, I'm going to have to sit here and push the command button 1.5 million times for it to keep doing its thing. Or if I want it to be moving forward, or for example, if I wanted it to be doing the moving forward and turning by at the same time, you can't actually do that just by pushing the command button, because you only have one mouse and you need that mouse to be focusing on just one thing at a time. So this is a really frustrating thing. Or say you want it to make a sound while it goes forward and it turns. This is very frustrating. So this is where the concept of a script comes in. So a script allows you to do multiple commands at the same time, and it also allows you to do multiple commands or the same command just once, but repetitively, so that you don't have to sit there and push the exclamation button just one time over and over and over and over and over again just to get the task to be done. So to make a script, what you're going to do is you're going to roll your cursor over these little green rectangles here to where you get a little pink outline, and you're going to drag this out here into the open. This creates something called a script. Now you can put multiple scripts inside this, multiple little tiles inside this. So I want it to be moving, I already did this one. I want it to move forward, I want it to turn, and I want it to make noise all at the same time. So I can move my script around here so that I have more room. As you can see, we originally had just two parts to the viewer, which was our basic and our tests. But now that we've created a script, there's a little script part on top. And up here, we can actually name our script, and it's really important to do that so we don't get confused later. So we're going to say flower motion. That's what I want to call it. Hit enter right there, and that's what we've named the script. Basically, scripts work. They're very easy to work. This button right here is called the ticking, and you can either turn the script on or off by clicking that button. So there we go. As you can see, when I pushed the ticking button, it turned purple and it started ticking, and it did all of the noises at the same time. It did the turn by, making the sound, and the forward all at the same time. And then when I hit it again, it turns pink and the clock pauses and the script stops. This little button is just like the button here. It's the command button. So say you just want to test your script out before putting it in full-blown ticking mode, you can just have it be done once at a time, and it'll still use all of the commands, but only do it once instead of in a very complete repetitive motion. Up here, this is the collapse thing right here, so that it's another halo, so that you don't have to fully see all of the individual commands in your script all at the same time, because eventually when they get more complicated, your scripts get very long and there's a lot going on and they take up a lot of space on your screen, so you can always collapse it. So that's basically how you make a script. In the most basic level, I actually really don't like this noise, so I'm going to change it to be silent. Or I can just take it out altogether and throw it away. And our trash can is kind of in an inconvenient spot, so I'm just going to go ahead and right click on it so that you can show its halos too, and I'm going to delete it. So everything has halos. Even this big huge viewer thing has a halo, so you can delete it and move it out of the way if we don't want it. But we're not going to do that because we're still using it. So that's basically how you make a script. This is a very basic script, obviously, but now you understand why we make scripts, so that they're more convenient and we can do multiple things at the same time. I'm going to pause the script. Now I'm going to show you some more elements of scripts. So another element, if you click these little arrows here, basic, you get a whole bunch of categories. There's motion, there's tests, which we're going to be covering in our next video, geometry, miscellaneous, all these things. But another one we're going to explore today is pen use. So pen use turns on this little internal pen that's inside each one of our objects, and we can change its color to be, thinking like, that looks cool. We can And when we turn it on, as you can see, we turn on the script, it's going to, oh, no, it's not, just kidding. You have to turn on the true, and now you can see it's going to make a pen trail wherever it moves. That's pretty cool. So we can also make the pen size bigger. We keep making that bigger, and it gets thicker and thicker and thicker, as you can see. Ooh, that's really thick. Okay, we can make it smaller again. We can change its color. Can still make it smaller because that looks kind of funny. We can have it do, instead of lines, we can have it do dots, which you can't see right now because of the color. There you go. Little dots. And then you can change the dot size to be bigger or smaller too. Right there. But yeah, now it has a trail for its pen. So if I don't really want my, say now, I don't want my pen to be drawing, so we can do clear all flower trails, all pen trails, I'm sorry. Click that. It's cleared the trail, and it's going to continue moving. Say I don't want it to turn anymore. You can always drag something out of the script, so now it's just going to continue to move. It's doing this funny bouncing thing because it's hitting the edge of the Etoys project, but we can always drag it back and start over. Or we can pause the script. We can always delete this to get that out of our way. And we can move our flower back here so that it's standing up straight. Hold down the Shift key and move our forward direction to be pointing up, for example. All right. And then we can have our flower move up. It's pretty interesting. Yeah, so as you can see, another thing that would be important to take note of is that right here it keeps track of the flower's X position and Y position, so its horizontal location and its vertical location, which, as you can see, as the flower is moving, it's always changing. All right, so that's the basics of scripts. I know this is kind of a lot to cover in one video, but next time we're going to talk about tests, which are a very specific type of script that make them more complicated and things like that. But now you know how to program your objects to do different things, like have a pen trail, move forward, turn to the side, make noises, all that kind of thing. So I hope you learned a lot from this video, and I will catch you later. Thank you.